kick things off today, I want to first make some upgrades to our power system, as well as build our very first immersive engineering excavator. And before we can use our immersive engineering excavator, we're going to need to go around and sample all the chunks to see what is available around us. And in order to do that, we're going to need to use this core sample drill. And if we look at the recipe for that very quickly, you'll see it uses 2 light engineering blocks, 4 steel scaffolding, and 3 steel fences. Once we have this, we need a way to power this. And right now, the only way I could power is running a bunch of cables, which is the problem that I'm having already. So what I want to build, not only to power this, but to consolidate some of our cabling in our base, is an advanced power cell. And if we look that up, we have a slight problem. And that is basically that it requires a dimensional cell, which unfortunately requires some prismarine shards, which we don't have. You know what that means, guys? It's time to go raid our first water temple. Well, that was a lot of fun, and look at all the loot. I'm not even done tearing that thing down, but we've got stacks and stacks of dark prismarine, regular prismarine. We even got some oxidized cut copper. Well, we found some nautilus shells, 1 heart of the sea, a handful of blocks of gold. We almost got a full stack of sponges, a couple stacks of sea lanterns, and most importantly, we got some prismarine shards. Now we can grab a few of these, head over to our system. We're going to throw those in there, and then we're going to look up that advanced power cell. Now we're going to craft a couple of the dimensional cells, which is going to require some blocks of redstone. And then we're going to craft some of these machine frames. And then we should be able to put some of these together. Let's just do 2 for now, because I want to craft a couple of these, which is going to require more blocks of redstone and these infused diamonds, which are pretty simple to make. We'll go ahead and craft those up. I don't know how many dimensional shards we have, but I know we have a little bit. And now we should be able to build 2 of these advanced dimensional cells. We're just going to take a quick peek at these. They have changed the look of these. They used to be a little different. But essentially, we need to craft a link card, and then we can use these to move our power around wirelessly. Let me get a couple of these set up, and then I'll show you how we're going to be using them. So I got our advanced dimensional cells set up. So basically, this is our power input from our power sources, and this is our output coming out of our advanced capacitor bank. So I'm able to keep track of our input versus output. I discovered a bit of an oopsie from the last episode, and really 2. We're going to head down below and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So first off, when we set these up and I looked at them, the calculation that I used for power generation was based off this out number, and it's actually peak power is 140 FE. So I'm not sure why it says 280 out. But I did end up building another 21 of these bad boys. The only thing is I'm worried that we're not generating enough melons. So I'm going to have to keep an eye on our melon usage once we power up our excavator and we're using these basically at full steam. The other issue is I kind of was rewatching my episode, and I realized that we talked about these. I showed them off, but I didn't show you guys how they're hooked up, which I'm going to do right now. And if we pop in here in our little base area between our bases, you can see this is where we're collecting our power. This is where we got water running into our closures. And then this is where we've got our power for our sawing factory and our crushing factory. And then that is getting fed with this logistical transport. It's getting fed into each one of these on the right side if you're looking at the front. It does not accept it from this side, so you have to input the biofuel to the right side if you're facing it, and then power out the back. So you can see we're collecting all of the power with advanced universal cable and pumping it into that advanced power cell. And if you guys are curious, that advanced power cell can transfer 20,000 FE a tick per side, and it has a 4 million buffer. And all of them that are using the same link card, and you can link these by crafting a new card, putting it right here, and it'll link it to this. Each one adds to the wireless pool. So that's very useful. Now we're gonna head out and we're gonna play around with our core sampler. We're outside where it all began, and we have our chunk borders up so we can check each chunk. And the way we do this is we just drop our core sample down on the ground, and it can receive power on all 4 sides at the little square. We're gonna drop our dimensional cell next to it. We're gonna switch it to output so it can receive power. And then we're just gonna right click the core sample, and you'll see the middle piece there going down into the ground, pulling the sample. Once it stops moving, it is done. And then we just right click it once again and see what it gives us. It looks like this one is galena. I'm not sure what that is exactly, but that is why we have our engineer's manual. It's got pretty poor saturation, and we're just gonna drop that on the ground until we're done with a large area. I'm just gonna go around, drop down the samples until we find iron, because that is what I want to get started with. Okay, that ended up taking quite a bit longer than I expected. If we take a look at our map, we ended up way back here behind our base. We checked all of this area, nothing at all. We checked a little bit right here, a little bit right here, and couldn't find anything at all. I did find some deposits down here, and quite a bit through here, just a ton in this area. And we finally found one that had banded iron, which is the one that we want. And I'm really liking this one because even though one of the saturations isn't very good, it's 96% saturated for the banded iron portion and 31 for the coal. So this will give us a little bit of coal, which we're gonna use for our steel production, because we're gonna need a lot of iron and steel moving forward. So let's go ahead and drop that back down on the ground. And I have all the components that we need in order to put this excavator together. So we're gonna try to do this. We're gonna start with one of the steel blocks. The next thing we need to do is put 3 scaffolding down, and then 2 more pieces of our steel blocks. And then around that, we're gonna start putting our base. And that's gonna essentially go right here. So we need 3 steel scaffoldings on each side. And then we need 2 steel sheet metals, one on each side. And then there's going to be a light engineer block right here. And then 1 more steel sheet metal on this side. And then 1 of these radiator blocks. And then a couple more pieces of sheet metal. Now we're going to start on the next tier, which is going to stick out a little bit more. So it should be right here. And that's going to have a piece of steel in the middle. And then 2 pieces of steel scaffolding, and then the end caps, which is going to be steel blocks. As you can see, this is very expensive. It's close to 200 steel, something like that. It's pretty crazy. All right, we're going to stop there. We're going to do the next layer. So we need to put down 3 of our heavy engineering blocks on this side, and then a piece of steel sheet metal, and then another piece of steel sheet metal, a light engineering block, and then on another heavy right there. And then I think our redstone goes there. And then we need some more sheet metal. Did I not bring enough sheet metal? It appears I have not. I may have accidentally crafted some. Give me 1 moment. So I'm back, and I think what happened is as I was crafting these components, some of the stuff that I crafted after crafting the steel sheet metal used some of the sheet metal from our inventory. So no big deal. I just didn't catch that. So we're going to go ahead and drop down 2 more pieces of steel sheet metal, and then on this side 3 light engineering blocks, And then we're going to work on the next section here, which is just going to be 5 more of these bad boys. And then along this side, it'll be 4 pieces of sheet metal, 1 light engineering block, and then more sheet metal, and then wood, more sheet metal, and then a heavy engineering block above the redstone. And then our last 2 radiator blocks, and then 3 more light engineering blocks. And then finally, to cap it, we need to build up the rest of the excavator, which is simply that, and then that right there. We're going to grab our Immersive Engineering hammer from our backpack, and I believe it's this component right here. I am wrong. Is it the redstone block? Uh-oh. May have done something wrong here, guys. So I think I figured out our problem, and it's this block right here. I think they've changed the recipe on me. We're going to take out that heavy engineering block, and we're going to put another piece of steel sheet metal, and I think that will work. I was looking at the book, and I noticed that this was still sheet metal. Everything else looks correct. So I think we're ready to try this again. So it should be right click on the middle block, and there we go. We got a fully formed Immersive Engineering Excavator, guys. That is so exciting. So we've crafted something new here. And that's going to be an ender chest. And if we look at this, they just recently added this to the mod pack, and I'm so excited because I use these to move things around in the world a lot. And we're just going to look up ender chest. Very simple to craft. It's 4 blaze rods, 1 ender pearl, a chest, 2 pieces of obsidian, and wool. And the nice thing about these is they're color coordinated. I've already got one of these set up in the base. And we want to change this to red, red, red. And I'm going to use this as my catch-all for anything that I am farming, blocks that I'm gathering, and I want to send directly into our storage system. Now, we need to give it power. So we have our dimensional cell here. We're going to throw that on the side on one of these 3 inputs. If you were using Immersive Engineering cable, you would need to use all 3, but we can get away with just using 1. And we're going to set that to out. Now it will start running. You can put a lever right here on this red dot if you want to turn it on and off. We're gonna let it run. You can see that it's knocking out the dirt right where it's at, and then it will eventually switch over to the ores, which it should be mostly iron and coal. Well, that's actually all it will be, except for the 3 byproducts that it gets, which is cobblestone, cobbled deep slate, and 1 other block. But it's looking good. It's getting close to dark, and there's the ore. So we're gonna head back, and I'm gonna show you what this looks like on the other end. On this side, we've dropped an ender chest down in the floor. It's got the same pattern, and you'll see we have an import bus. And on this import bus, I've already added 1 acceleration card and also a capacity card, so it can pull more items and move it quicker. Right now, it's not a problem, but as we get more farms going and this becomes our main means for pumping stuff into our system, this can get overwhelming very quickly. But for right now, it's doing pretty good, and it's only been a couple minutes. We're already up to 12 coal ore and 59 deep slate iron ore. That is fantastic. I think at this point, guys, I'm going to be keeping an eye on our power usage. But I think it's time we did a little bit of building. Okay, guys, there's been a slight change of plans. It has been a few days, and I am in the middle of trying to come up with a design for a very large build. And we're already several days past when I wanted to release this episode. So we're going to put our build project on hold. I have a couple of other small projects I want to tackle and a couple things I want to go over. And we're going to wrap up today's episode once we've done that. And then in the next episode, or the one after that, we'll introduce our build that we're working on outside. So we won't be outside any because I don't want to kind of drop any spoilers. And just to give you an idea of how long I've been working on this, look inside of our crafting terminal and you'll see that we have gotten almost 10,000 deep slate iron ore. And I honestly should probably go check that. It might be finished. A couple of things that have changed since the last clip. I have forgotten to do something, and you guys may have already noticed, or you may have noticed it previously. When we set up our ender chest, I did forget to put a diamond on the front. If you just right click a little lever on the front of these ender chests, it locks them to your player. Otherwise, they're public, and anyone on the server that uses red with no diamond would also have access to those materials. So we've went around and locked all of our ender chests to our personal channel. We're up to, look at that. I'm not even gonna do the math on that. It's a lot of Inferium Essence. And over here, this wall's almost filled in. We've got a few more things over here. But the plan, and one reason that I'm so delayed on the building, besides just struggling with the design, is the sheer amount of resources. So yes, we've added some more mystical agriculture seeds, but I've also need mob drops for some blocks, as well as a whole bunch of clay and other things. So we're gonna be looking at a couple of ways to get those resources. Some of that can be done via mystical agriculture, which I have started adding those seeds, but there's two other things I want to look at today, and one of those is a mob grinder. But before we dive into that, the last thing I want to show you guys is I did make an Aldemodium shovel and an Aldemodium axe. If we go over here and search template, guys, I was out exploring a bastion, the very first bastion, on a recent stream, and I found a Vibranium smithing template in the very first chest we opened up. I thought this was going to take a couple of hours. We found it in about 10 minutes. Let's take a quick peek at a particular mod that I've been looking at, and I think we have everything we need to dive into this mod, and that's going to be Mob Grinding Utilities. Unfortunately, I don't believe this is currently in our quest book, but it does look like a very good way to set up just a basic mob spawner. So our first goal is to craft some of this dreadful dirt. And this will spawn mobs at a really high rate as long as there's no light. And if you turn a light on, it will stop hostile mob spawns. Now, in order to get this dreadful dirt, you need a rotten egg. So if you drop a rotten egg on a 5x5 area, it creates dreadful dirt. You have to be mindful though, the dreadful dirt will ignite in daylight if exposed to the sky. So you want to make sure this is underground or covered. And in order to get a rotten egg, you need to feed a chicken first chicken feed. And we have some right here. Well, we actually don't have any. we're going to craft some. I have everything ready to go to craft that. It takes fluid XP buckets, which aren't hard to acquire, gunpowder, one of the many different types of crops or seeds, and then a rotten flesh, a spider eye, and any type of bone. So we're gonna go ahead and craft that, and we only have enough to make one. We do happen to have a chicken sitting over here in this cage. Right click releases the chicken. Where did he come from? He just showed up out of nowhere. Sir, we are not interested in your goods right now. Oh, we got a trophy though. Oh, that's cool. I don't have that one yet. I've been slowly collecting these. I have some of them sitting out. This one we're just gonna go throw in this chest. Guys, we're squirreling, we're getting distracted. Let's feed this cursed chicken feed and see what happens. Oh my goodness, I did not expect that. Oh my. All right, so we're going to head over to a new area that I've started adding to the back of the base. All right, so over here, I've started adding this hallway. It is not decorated yet. We have put the floor in the correct dimensions. And I've added a little temporary area to set up a farm. We already have a light, so we're gonna turn that on because we don't want any mobs spawning. And we should be able to just right click the ground. Oh, boom, there we go. We now have dreadful dirt. So let's head over to our applied energy system and craft a few more things to get this mob spawner up and going. But we're going to look at this Mob Grinding Utilities mod again, and we're going to kill the mobs by using this mob masher. And in order to craft this mob masher, we're gonna need some diamonds, a block of iron, some iron spikes, and iron swords. And if you'll notice, these iron spikes also use iron swords. So we're gonna need a total of 8 iron swords. So we're gonna go ahead and craft those up. Now, I didn't pre-plan this, so I hope we have enough sticks for 8. It looks like we are. That should be 8. We're gonna put those in our system now. We should be able to craft 2 iron spikes. We're gonna drop those in, and then we're gonna craft that mob masher. Well, we need a block of iron first. Now we're gonna go ahead and grab that. Now, I'm kind of just looking at this stuff. It's kind of self-explanatory. This is going to grind up the mobs, and it's going to give us items as well as XP orbs. So we need a way to store that. And we're going to store the XP into one of these jumbo tanks, which is going to take 4 of these singularity tanks. So we're going to craft these first. We need 4 of these. And then we can craft this massive jumbo tank. And then we also want an XP tap so we can give ourselves XP if we want. And that's just 3 iron and a piece of obsidian, which we have plenty of. I finally figured out what this inhibitor does, and I'm actually laughing after the last episode. While working on this episode, I did find out who put that inhibitor in here. And a funny story, this thing actually keeps the Enderman from leaving the area that's in the radius that it blocks. So we're actually going to need this. And I didn't even notice, you guys may have called it, but our buddy actually named the Enderman, and I didn't even notice. We just killed them. I also want some of this tinted glass. We're gonna need 25 of these. So we're gonna go ahead and just craft some of this up. We should have plenty of resources for this. We're gonna go with 28. Also craft one of these absorption hoppers. So yeah, this will pick up all of our items and all of our orbs, and then configure it to push out any side. So yeah, we're gonna craft one of these as well. We're gonna need a hopper, and we're going to need an Eye of Ender. And then we can push that into the tank. And then for items for now, I think I have a spare, I have a spare Bruce Diamond Barrel, 2 of these fans to push everything into the mob masher. And that's gonna require some stone slabs. And we're gonna need 2 of these. Well, I think I have this all set up, and most of this is temporary. This hallway is temporary, but it'll at least get us started. I just realized I still need to craft a stack upgrade, but I can do that later off camera. Just know, guys, I will be adding that. And yes, we did a bit of testing, but I got everything turned off because I wanted to show you guys how I have it set up for now. Obviously, we have our light here to turn it on and off. We have these fans set up, and the way I've got them set up, I've got them centered, and I'm running 3 each of the fan height and the fan width upgrades, so it covers this entire area, and it actually goes 1 block further out, and that's great because I have our mob masher set up here in the corner with a little cutout, so the Endermen have no problem going into that space. Now, if we take a look at that, you can see we have 10 sharpness, we have 10 looting, and 5 beheading. I'll look at some of these others, but I think this is more than enough to get started. This will give us some mob drop head drops, as well as max looting and max sharpness. So it should kill things fairly quickly. Because when I first did it, I only did it with 5 and 5, and it was a little slow. So it should be a lot better now. We're gonna go ahead and replace the glass, and I have a vacuum hopper on the back of our mob masher. And some pipes that are going to be filling up our jumbo tank with fluid XP. We have that XP tap, so if we want to give ourselves levels, we can. And then in the spruce diamond barrel is where all the physical mob drops are going, and you can see we got some signs set up here, and then a switch to turn the mob grinder on and off. And you'll notice this, it says fan switches. We put a little cabinet here. I tried to put these on the shelf and they wouldn't work, but this is so cool. I found this mod called Redstone Pin. And if we look that up just very quickly, you'll see that there's not a whole lot in here. I'm not sure how some of this works. I would love to be able to set these up so I can only use 1 remote, but I've got 2, 1 for each fan, and there is a basic lever on the back of them. You just left click the button or the lever and it maps the remote to it. So now I can cut our fans on, and then we can toss those back into the, oh, I turned one off. We'll toss those back into the cabinet. So now our fans are running. And we have this inhibitor set up, so any Endermen that spawn in there, they will not be able to leave. They will not be able to teleport. And then we have our light, which is currently got the mob farm turned off. So we're going to turn our grinder on, and then we're going to hit our light, and you'll see stuff will start spawning here pretty quickly. There we go. Yeah, see, we're already getting mob drops from, there's another one, there's a witch. But we're going to move on to the next thing for today. So I'm not sure what's up. I spent a solid 30 minutes in the other mining between Y level 0 and 40, which is where you're supposed to be able to find vibranium. And I thought that you would be able to find more than you would be able in the nether. Just like you can find more allthemodium in the mining dimension versus the overworld. But that may not be the case. If it is, let me know what I'm doing wrong, because I didn't find a single ore. But it wasn't a complete waste. As you guys saw, I was able to collect a whole bunch of raw lead blocks, raw aluminum, tin, and silver. We will break those down later in our mechanism and get a whole bunch of ingots. But right here, guys, within 3 minutes of jumping in the nether, which you can also find vibranium between Y level 64 and 127. Not even 3 minutes, we've already found one. And that does require an allthemodium pick or higher level. So we're gonna go ahead and break our first vibranium ore. Ow, and it sounds like we're getting attacked. Not fun, get out of here, leave me alone. Oh, this just got interesting. I don't think I have any ranged attack to deal with that dude. Oh, I can fly. Guys, I'm dense sometimes. We'll take the rewards. All right, I'm gonna get back to collecting enough vibranium so we can, at minimum, upgrade our armor and our sword, and maybe our picks. We'll see. So that didn't take long at all. I think I spent like 10 minutes in the nether, and I had enough ores gathered to craft 36 vibranium ingots. And we're gonna start throwing our armor in here, the smithing template, and one of our vibranium ores. I'm out of curiosity. So the base on this is +4 armor, +5 armor toughness. What does the vibranium add? So, oh wow, that's a big increase. What is the attack on this? 18 attack damage. Oh my, that's double. That's double. I'll take it. And then we got our picks. And we can go ahead and just do our last 2 tools. And we'll be fully a vibranium. Hey, I like that. Not bad, not bad. I think overall I like the way that allthemodium looks better. Eventually, when I have a whole bunch of all of these resources, I want to create an armor stand room and have one of all the different sets. But we're not worried about that right now. All right, the last thing we want to dive into in today's episode is a new mod. Because in our current build that we're building outside that you guys can't see yet, it's going to take a lot of clay, like crazy amounts of clay. So I've taken a moment to look around to see what the best way to get clay is. And if we take a peek, the best way to get clay, well, there's a few ways, but the best way that I have currently, my tech level, is with an enrichment chamber. I can craft one of these very easily, and we can turn mud into clay. Now, how do we get mud? Well, we can get mud via mystical agriculture. We're already creating dirt and water essence, so that's one way. But I really want to scale into it a little bit more than what we can do with this. So I got to looking. We could use a chemical injection chamber and take dirt and combine it with water vapor and get mud. But then we got to do something to get dirt. And I got to look, and there is a mod in here that I have not played with yet. That is called XyCraft Machines. And this extractor, if we take a look at it, where you want to right click it so we can see it. 26 pages of all kinds of different combinations to get different types of blocks. And this is pretty freaking sweet because we can also get search quartz dust. We can definitely use that. There is all kinds of awesome things that we can do with this. So we're going to craft one of these really quickly. So we're going to go over here to our system. We're gonna look up Extractor, and I have everything all ready to go. It takes a pointed dripstone, 1 piston, 4 aluminum ingots, 2 of the kiwi blocks that you can find out in the overworld, and one of these ports. I'm not sure which one we have. We have one of them. We have an item port, which if we take a look at item port, it's just 2 gold or brass nuggets with a chest. So let's go ahead and make that extractor. And as you guys saw, for mud, if we go back and look at mud, it simply needs to be sitting on some type of dirt with water next to it. So I'm gonna get this set up somewhere. We're gonna take a look at it, and then we're gonna wrap things up for today. Okay, guys, I was actually kind of surprised. This thing puts out resources at a ridiculous rate. Look at this. Look at this. I just set this up and added a stack upgrade tier 4, and it's just climbing. We're almost to 400 mud. Mystical agriculture would not be able to put out that kind of mud. So now I just need to set up one of those mechanism machines that we already have used before, enrichment chamber. I'll probably set that over here somewhere in the spare space, maybe over there. And then I can make a whole bunch of clay, which I'm gonna need for our build. And just real quick, over here at a mob farm, I haven't changed anything. I ran it for a solid hour. You'll see that it is turned off. I may have to set up some filters, but it's still pretty good. But we did get a whole bunch of this kind of stuff. And I wanna set up a filter to trash this stuff. But if we take a quick peek, what do you guys think? After an hour with 10 levels of looting, this is what we ended up with. I'm actually a little shocked. Guys, we almost have 1,500 wool, which was another resource I was about to look into how to craft in large excess because we need it for cables. We got a ton of slime, which we also talked about needing. We've got a whole bunch of ender pearls. We have these ender pearl fragments, which I think can be crafted into ender pearls. We got a whole bunch of bones. We got stone, things that I wasn't expecting, like redstone. We got a little bit of gold and iron, almost 1,000 gunpowder. I'm pretty happy with this. Well, guys, in between episodes, I'm going to be working on building up all kinds of resources, setting up more of these extractors so we can get even more stuff. I will be crafting some more 16K drives, and we're going to be adding some more mystical agriculture seeds. But I think for today, guys, let's go wrap things up. Before we wrap things up today, I did forget about our quest book. There is a lot we have accomplished over the last couple of episodes that I keep forgetting. We're not going to go over all this, but we're going to focus on the big things. So looking at all the modium, we're going to scroll in so you guys can see this a little better. We have our smithing template. We have crafted our tools. We haven't done a hammer or collected the spell book. There's also different types of armor, so we'll have to look at that at some point, but we did do the basic set. We also have our vibranium now, and our vibranium tools, as well as our vibranium armor. So I'm pretty excited about that. The next upgrade will be unobtainium, which is found in the end. Now, let's go ahead and accept our ingot reward. Ooh, that gave us a free one. Now, if we pop over and look, we don't have any progress done on the star currently, or the beginning tab. We'll skip over all of these. I do want to look at basic storage. So this is where we've gotten our upgrades for our barrels that we're using for our mechanism biogenerators. Or not our barrels, our drawers. And that's the only thing we're using drawers for. And that's it for basic storage. Looking at applied energistics, we have our autocraft and stuff that we set up, and we forgot to unlock those rewards. So we're going to go ahead and clear those. And then we've got a couple more things over here that we have crafted. That's our import export buses. We're making a lot of progress with applied energistics, and we got plenty more to do. Taking a look at mystical agriculture, we got a couple more seeds. And then food and farming. What did we do in here? Oh, our bucket of milk. Not too big a deal. We are going to be setting up a real fancy kitchen at some point. We're just not gotten there yet. So, oh, we missed something. We'll go ahead and click that. Oh, our cable. And we got that as well. All right, I think that's going to catch us up. So under mechanism, oh yes, we did build some of the newer cables to do some testing. And I think that is, oh, XyCraft is actually a mod. So yeah, we did our first thing. We did an extractor. We need to look at getting more of these gems, which can be done with the extractor. But we'll look at that in the next episode. I'm not too worried about Forbidden Arcanus because it's not something that we're focused on at the moment. So it was just something that we luckily got. So not a big deal. As always, guys, if you enjoyed today's episode, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you have any suggestions or maybe some feedback, please leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe. This is Agro Ninja, and that's a wrap.